Welcome to Best Practices from Spark Practice. I'm your host, Sarah Niblack. Thank you so much, Peter, for being here with Spark Practice. We're at the 50th International Viola Congress in Paris, France. We're going to cut through conversations a little bit, but I really want to know your signature Spark Practice plan. Now, we've been a little bit through what the elements are. I'll just repeat them really quickly. Spark are the 5 elements of music making: sound, performance, attuned intonation, rhythm, and kinetic integration with our self-talk. You're awesome.
You're awesome.
Thank you. And you've inspired and taught and shaped and accompanied generations of musicians who are all awesome as well. And what's interesting to me in this project is to understand what you teach and how you teach is one thing, but what makes you you?
We'll find out.
Yes! So we're going to go through each letter, and I'd love to know something that you love to do in the practice room, or that you teach a lot, as your kind of go-to tips in each of the elements, so that when people can come back to this, it's going to be like a portrait of you.
Okay.
But also, it's going to be something that people can try in their own practice. Ready?
Wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, so the first element is sound. How do you like to think about sound? How do you like to practice it?
All the time. All the time. If the sound is not there, I'm not interested in a performance. I mean, just the sound is the thing that grabs my attention. It's the bling.
Okay.
And it's also the transfer here. I like to think of sound being both vowels and consonants.
Okay.
For example, if I just talked to you in consonant and said, if it's a beautiful day outside, that doesn't work, right? So we have to make beautiful vowel sounds. And I think those beautiful vowel sounds are most naturally produced when we work with nature, as opposed to against nature.
Okay.
And so just knowing the kinesthetic tools of how to use our body is very, very, very important. I often like to think also of vowel sounds versus consonant sounds as large muscle groups versus small muscle groups. So I think that when I speak, my diaphragm pushes air from my lungs across my vocal cords.
Yep.
And then the consonant sounds are made at the very end of it with my lips and teeth and tongue. So if I'm playing, I really want to engage my largest muscles, which include my very largest muscle, in the whole process. And it becomes very vascular, something which I think we'll talk about with other elements. So as far as viola sound, I think it's three words. And maybe the 3 words can describe every beautiful instrument sound, I'm not sure. Deep, clear, and ringy. And these things can kind of cancel each other out. Sometimes you get something that's very ringy, but it's not very deep, or very deep, but not very clear. If you get all 3 going at the same time, it's really fantastic.
Magical.
It's fun.
Yeah. I feel like I know what you're talking about when you say deep, but can you describe it with other words as well? Or take me through that concept a little bit?
Great. Round, rich, cozy. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. And how do you do that? What's something that you do to help open that up or connect with that?
Well, I do this thing I call the electric plug, which is a way of finding your body. If you've ever seen an electric plug, we kind of look like an electric plug if we take off our arms. Don't try this at home. But so we've got our legs, and the energy comes into my body, and this practice technique I have comes into your body through the left leg, and you just like blow out each area of your body at a time. Get all the way up to your knee, get the energy going up to your hip, across your body to your right shoulder blade, into the bow, and then through the hand into the string.
So and it comes back down.
It comes back down. So it comes back down through the left hand.
Okay, so just, I caught on, but let's talk through it. I'm sorry, I got excited. So, left foot, knee.
Left foot, knee, left hip, right shoulder blade, so you've got a cross going on in your back. It's nice to think of our bodies being supported by both a cross and a vertical piece, and that those are made of really strong but pliable rubber, so that they can flex every way in the wind or whatever you want to do while you're performing. So you've got this cross to your right shoulder, past your shoulder, into your hand through the hand into the bow.
Yeah.
The bow then excites the string, and the string does its magic, and then the magic is caught by the finger. The finger, by the way, vibrato on string instruments is an amplification of existing vibrations in the string. And that's an important point, so you don't impose your will on the string. So it starts with the bow, and then it's amplified by the left hand. You, I bet, don't have sneakers on today. I mean,
I do not.
Good guess. So, because you look very fancy and blingy, and so, you know,
It's only because I had to speak to people.
the grungy sneakers don't go with that. And so the certain vibratos don't go with certain bow sounds, right?
Fair.
So you catch the right thing, then it comes down the side, and then across the left side, through the right side. So you've got this
So through your right arm,
Up,
to
left.
your bow,
Yep.
no, through to your bow, crosses over, makes the string turn. You feel it in your left hand. You take it up through to your left shoulder. You send it down to your right hip.
Correct.
Okay.
Then down your leg and out. And you've got this magical thing that is unstoppable, really. And what's really neat about this, when you really find a great sound, it's you. It's your real voice. Everything else is a facsimile of a real voice. Your true voice is amazing. It's like what Leonardo said, I think, when he was doing statues. Leonardo or Michelangelo, I have to look that up. But one of them said that a statue is just, the marble reveals its true nature inside the statue. And so, believe me, when you sound good, it's not an accident. It's the real you.
Yeah, but having that courage to find that voice and connect with that, and the tools to be able to get it out of us and get out of our own way are essential. But having this like plug, this X of supporty, bendy wonderfulness, I can definitely
That's a great
see.
word. I love that word bendy. Everything is bendy, right?
Yeah.
Your body's bendable.
Yep.
Airspace is bendable. The string is very
Sound
bendable.
waves
Yes, yeah,
are
it's all
bendy
cool.
by
Yeah.
nature. Yeah, for sure. And also like kind of taking judgment out of words, because bendy can be perceived poorly, but it's such a strength.
Yeah, totally.
And if we know how to be bendy in the right way,
Right.
and from a place of like fitness and
Right.
skills and competence that we're building up strategically, then that bendiness becomes a superpower.
Totally.
Yeah.
Because was it Tartini had on his music stand, strength without roughness, flexibility without weakness. This was his motto, and it worked for Tartini.
That's
so,
amazing.
You know.
That's how I describe what I'm looking for in a red wine.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm gonna start applying it elsewhere too.
Well, just keep doing that red wine research.
Not too much. Let's talk about performance. How do you teach performance? What do you do to prepare for yourself or with your students?
One of the most interesting things I think about performance is to stay connected to your body and to your soul while you're up on stage. And notice I use the word stay, which implies that you've already found that connection, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people haven't found that connection.
Yep.
So one of the things I kind of a superpower that I like when I'm interviewing new students is I show them what they're capable of. So I have them play from different parts of their body. You know, play from your, I start from the head. Play from the head, and it'll make everything good-ish, you know? And good of a certain kind.
Right.
Then I seldom forget that and just think about your feet.
Yep.
Velcro your feet to the floor, and then it sounds completely different.
Yeah.
Also very good, in completely opposite way of the brain. Then you can do your hands, and you get so under control with that, but then you've lost maybe some of the body thing. Then you go to the stomach. Other places to try are your inner ear, the
Yep.
one that precedes your sound, the one that you're following like a hound hunting
Like
a
the
fox.
bus driver that's
Yeah.
like planning all the moves.
Yeah, and then
that hears in advance of what
hears
you're
in
doing.
advance, right?
Okay.
The hearing behind, and then also your emotions. And then there, again, with motions, a really good game is to just play something according to different emotions. And you could play, let's say, Walton Concerto, something beautiful and passionate. Let's think of some words for Walton Concerto opening. You could say it's lonely. You could say it's yearning. You could say it's impassioned. You could also say it's jaunty. Maybe not, but maybe a little bit. So at any time in our life, we have several emotions going on. I'm having a great time with you. I'm also thinking about the things and friends I'm going to hear perform this afternoon. I'm also tiny bit jet lagged. So there are several emotions going on at once.
The weather's happening. Yeah.
And so we can also, the weather's happening. So we can also by isolating each motion, then we can combine them and say, I want to make this waltz and I want to make it 70% yearning, 30% lonely, and 5% jaunty, and 5% something else. So getting in touch with your emotions is really fantastic, and learning how to combine them. And then combining these two things, we talked about the body earlier. I'm a big believer not in multitasking, because I don't think it's possible. When my sons were in high school and they said, my math homework is much better when I play this computer game while I do that, I didn't believe that.
Sure.
But I do believe in keeping a lot of files open in your head and moving quickly, switching quickly from one to the other. So it seems like you're multitasking, seems like you're doing 5 things at once, but you're doing actually 5 things in the space of a second. And the more contact you have with your body, the more you have that ability out on stage.
Okay, so for you, your body is like the main hub,
Absolutely.
and you're checking in with different things from your main hub.
Sounds great.
Okay, cool. So how do you actually do that in a practice session?
Well, there are a lot of ways to do that in a practice session. You can, just in terms of practicing performance, you can start absolutely cold. And then you have to turn down the voice in your head that says, I can't play this because I'm cold, can't do this. Another fun technique is just to go to a space quickly. You know how these days with files on the computer, you just go to a minute and 13 seconds in, and you know this thing is a minute and 13 seconds in that you want to hear. Back in the day, I once transcribed Stamets Concerto Cadenza from an analog record. That was not fun.
No.
Because I had to find the right groove.
Thank you for doing that work, making the wave.
Yeah, it's okay. So, but it's going to finding these places. So you could start in the middle of a piece, start in the middle of a phrase, and say, I'm here in this place. I'm at this stage. I'm at chapter 7, verse 3, page 27, or something like that. So it's a matter of not only isolating the key components, but also putting them together. And to practice performing, right?
Right, okay.
And so putting yourself on stage. Someday I'm going to have a school that we have a concert hall 1 hour a day. You guys can contribute to that.
That already happens at Spark Practice Online. So
good.
we'll have to, we'll hook
talk
up.
about that.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Practicing performing is one of those things that helps us build that part of ourselves to make that transition of everything that we did in the practice room, everything else, actually show up with us on stage. But when we're talking about some of the other elements that go into what that is, I always think about intonation as being one of the key elements as well. And as you know, in Spark Practice, we talk about attuned intonation because we're talking about intonation, harmony, and listening. How do you put that together?
I wanted to make a video game that would teach people intonation.
Okay.
And I thought it'd be really great if you had this like Mario Kart where you could go faster and faster. The more you would play in tune, more notes you would play in tune.
You like unlock speed.
Totally,
okay.
totally, it would be great. But you know what? Couldn't do it because there's so many variables involved. What is in tune? So I have a story about that, which is, I don't know if this is the answer to your question, but it's a fun. I think it's a fun story and maybe an illustration. I was moved to Chicago when I was teaching at Northwestern, and the job at Northwestern was part-time, so I needed to also record commercials. Very, very lucrative way of making money. If
Studio work.
Studio work,
Yeah.
exactly. So I played for the guy. I played a Hindemith Company Sonata. I played Bach G major prelude. Da 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 da. I put the B like beautifully pure, equal tempered. Not equal tempered, beautifully pure.
Okay.
B, a gorgeous resonance. And the guy said, "I don't." Whoa, is that karma? Somebody's playing the very piece.
Maybe the mic can pick it up. I don't know, but we're at the Viola Congress, and somebody's testing a viola with this exact example.
Wow, karma, that's great. Okay, so it was beautiful like that. So the guy said to me, I don't like where you put that B. I said, okay, I understand. This is the way I like the B because violas need to be resonant. They're acoustically imperfect. We won't tell that to our instruments, but they're acoustically imperfect. So if you play pure intonation, it's going to sound better. So I said, I'll put an equal tempered B. I'm sure that's what he wants. So I played this equal tempered B. He said, I don't like where you put that B. I said, okay, this is really silly, but maybe he wants a leading tone B, like a Pythagorean B, this B that's closer to C than to whatever. And so I played it again, da da ya da 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 ya, really hot. Yeah. And he said, I don't like where you put that B. like I needed this gig like a lot. I had 2 young kids at home, and I said, and I was getting a little desperate. I said, "Excuse me, it seems like I'm guessing here. Could you? I played in a quartet for a number of years. Could you show it to me?" And he said, "Well, it's not about this esoteric stuff like a quartet. You know, in the studio, you know, time is money, and I think your B was too low." I'm like, oh my God, I played it as high as a B could possibly be. But I realized this was not about art. This was about me keeping my mouth shut. So I played the B. I swear it was almost a C. Yeah, no. And
It was a B++.
B+++. And you know what he said? He said, "That's why I like that B." And you know what I said? Nothing. And I got like $500 of gigs on my answering machine by the time I got home.
Nice.
So this is an illustration. There are different kinds of things. Intonation, you won't agree with everybody about intonation, but you should play the thing that sounds beautiful to you. I would encourage you to think about making resonance, and that's more on the pure side. And then also think about the ways that we alter intonation for when we're moving somewhere. So if we're moving on a scale, maybe we want to make the 2nd and 3rd and 4th scale degrees a little bit higher. You know, 2nd and 3rd scale degrees moving higher, and 6 and 7. Another funny thing happened when I was teaching at Northwestern. I got intonation. Well, I got a sight singing program for my sons for the computer. You can play this game. You can't play the other video games. So I just to test it out, I sang a scale. So in this computer program, I sang a scale, and it said, "You're not singing the scale in tune." I was like, "Excuse me?" I tried it again, a little bit more carefully. So this is a good machine, you know. So I sang it, and it said, "You're not singing it in tune." So, "Excuse me." At the time, I'm the head of the performance department at Northwestern University. I'm singing the scale in tune. You listen again. I sang it in tune, and it said, "You're not singing it in tune. Your 6th and 7th scale degrees were a little bit high." It's like,
yeah.
yes, that's what I want. I wanted the scale that was leading up,
Yeah.
and you know, forget you with your just pure intonation. So so please don't follow the needle. Please don't follow the needle. Follow your ears and know what key you're playing in and what you're trying to do with intonation. Because there's a lot of stuff out there. This is all the emotional and artistic side of intonation. There's a practical side as well.
Yeah. How do we practice that practical side?
So for string players, it can work really well if you know how it feels
Okay.
and how it sounds.
Yeah.
If you don't know, think of like learning a new piece of music. If you don't know how it sounds, you don't know how it feels, you're completely lost. You have to find out one of these things.
Absolutely.
Where's the half step or whatever, okay?
Right.
So that's one set of things. The other set of things, which is really true for string players, is if you move your hand to the right place and you divide it correctly, you'll be in tune. So these are foundational things. So separating them out, I'm not playing in tune. What's the problem? Oh, my hand is not divided. I went from this hand frame to this hand frame.
Right.
Oh my
we
goodness.
talk a lot about, like hand frames and understanding, just so that everybody knows, it being divided is not it being divided in equal parts. It's where are the whole steps and where are the half steps.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so there are games and exercises you can do for those things. But like we were talking about before we turned the camera on, understanding the problem is one of the most important things, So when somebody comes up to me and says, "What is your problem?" I consider it the nicest thing they could do because we're always carrying around several problems a day. And like, okay, this is my problem.
You
I'm
only
working
see
on
one. That's great.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, man, what's your problem?
All right. So I love this. I want to give them one thing that they can do concretely to put this into action.
Okay. This will be string related.
Great.
Okay. So I have a practice game that I call Pick 4. It's called Pick 4 because you get to pick 4 numbers. Okay.
Yay.
And they are 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
So 1 is this, 2 is this, 3 is this, and 4 is that.
Okay.
And so you pick a number. You put the first number on the C, lowest string of your instrument.
Okay.
Second pattern on the second string. So it could be 4, 1, 4, 1. Or it could be 3, 1, 2, 4. Whatever. The good thing about this is you're going to encounter every single hand combination ever in the world.
Yep.
You're not just going to know how to play in D major. You're going to know how to play in everything.
Right.
And these 4 patterns encompass most of diatonic music, at least. We've got also Dr. Spock pattern and cool things like that. But this is a way for you to train the patterns. So when you ask them that they're reliable, And that's part
Right.
of the thing, is you have to, your thought process has to be backed up by a physical action.
Exactly. Okay, so when we get into the practice room, when we're going to practice attuned intonation in this way, we're working on our hand frame, and we start on assigning a different hand frame to each string.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay. And then we go through not necessarily playing a scale or something like that, just what are those notes and hearing them in advance to anticipate what's coming out of the hand pattern?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay.
And then another thing you do, it's not really using your ear, but if your hand gets really trained, try detuning your instrument.
Yeah.
Tuning your instrument, D string up a half step, G string down a third, and then play the piece that you can play. See whether your hand can go to the right place, absent of your ear.
Okay, so we're only concentrating on the physical signature of things.
Right.
And cutting the loop, checking with our sound,
Right.
or with the inner ear.
Right.
Okay,
So
you can hear it in your inner ear, know where it is, even if a different sound comes out.
Correct.
Okay.
So you're overcoming the impulse. The way we train two strong impulses, we can do actually the opposite too.
Right.
We could detune our instrument and then play a scale in tune.
Right.
I love doing this in front of people. First time, it's all wrong because I don't know what's coming up.
Right.
It's completely wrong the first time. Second time, I'm most close. Third time, if I don't get it exactly right, I eat my hat, because I've already figured out what I need to do.
Right.
And so there are these two processes. If they're both strong, then together they're multiplied strong. And
Absolutely.
that's actually a really good thing I think about practicing. One of the things I like to say is increase variables in practice, and then decrease the variables in performance, so that you're way over prepared.
Right. I remember somebody was talking, I think it was somebody in sports was talking about what strength looks like. And strength looks like being able to do more than what you need to do, so that what you need to do is graceful. And the example was like picking up a set of keys. If your maximum strength is the weight of that set of keys, it's going to be an effort to get it up. But if you can pick up a set of keys, you have so many choices about how you do that. And so that's what I'm hearing.
Totally. And I would say also about that is we don't sound good to the limits of our practicing. So if we practice X high on an instrument, we are good X minus 3 notes. Mm-hmm. So you have to overtrain. Everything has to be overtrained. Mm-hmm.
And just to be clear, overtrain doesn't mean into burnout number of hours.
No, my
I'm
goodness.
I know. It's going to be okay. But overtraining means a couple clicks higher on the metronome, even more expression and phrasing, more dynamic contrast, a deeper understanding of what the harmonic base is, not pushing yourself to exhaustion.
The nice thing about overtraining is it gives you permission to fail.
Right, but first of all, this distinction between the right kind of overtraining and the wrong kind of overtraining.
Oh, totally.
We're building, not breaking.
We are using our creative energy to use our time maximally. What you're describing as overtraining is just not good use of
I want everybody
energy.
to understand the difference.
Yeah, no, because overtraining just means you have potentially injured yourself or dulled your senses in some way.
Yeah, overtrain in that sense. So we're like bonus training.
Bonus training, I love that.
Like we'll figure out how to package that. But
so if I when I was preparing Don Juan for orchestral auditions, it's an excerpt that known as the hard fast excerpt. People play at about 160, 170 beats per minute. I trained it up to 230.
Okay.
Because when I trained it up to 230, it sounded really good at 185 or 190.
Yeah.
So was 230 perfect? No, not really.
Right.
But I actually learned a different set of things.
Right.
When I skipped the stone across the stream, it was a different kind of thing that I learned how to be light and how to be agile and how to be responsive. Mm-hmm. Then I applied that to the deep training. Mm-hmm. Most people practice too much at medium speeds. Mm-hmm. So they don't get the quality of the low speed, and they don't overtrain or train at a faster speed. It's just one element, but
but then also, what I'm hearing, and tell me if I'm hearing this correctly, is that when you bonus trained it to 230, you still had the music that you wanted to play in mind.
Oh, totally.
Because otherwise, you'd be learning the music that happens at 230.
Absolute point. So the music happens regardless of tempo. So you're playing 40% of tempo with 100% of the music, or 115% of the music.
Yes.
So here's if you don't remember anything else from this interview, remember this: speed times quality equals impact. And we want to increase the impact of what we do. So if you slow something down and it's not at least correspondingly better, you're wasting your time. So at half tempo, you should be doing
So
three
there's an
times
inverse
the positions.
relationship between tempo and intention.
Yes.
Okay. I earned my glasses very early. Okay, this is awesome. I love that. Can we talk about rhythm?
Yes.
How do you practice rhythm? How do you do that?
It's a funny question because really rhythm should imbue everything we do. And I start, book one people with Subdivision because rhythm is not something you add. You don't get to the second semester of masters, I would hope, of study, and then start adding rhythm because you're about to take orchestra auditions. You should be mastering rhythm ever since the time you started playing your instrument. And rhythm never flows in the prevailing note values. Rhythm flows smaller and bigger. There's micro and macro rhythm. And so there's hypermeter and there's subdivision. And you need to be doing both all the times. I'm assuming that the people who are listening to this channel know what macro rhythm and micro rhythm is.
We talk a lot about the subdivision ninja, which takes the smallest note value of something, or smaller if we need
Smaller,
it.
right, yeah.
And we're filling up all of the space in what we're doing with that, while we understand what the larger structure of what we're doing is,
Right.
with the storyboard and the phrases and all of that. So we know what our overbeats are,
Yep.
and our intention and where we're going and how that's sculpted, as well as all of the tiny molecules
Correct.
that fill it up.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is that rhythm is it's never static. It's always moving somewhere. One example I thought about just recently is notes are either before the beat, on the beat, or after the beat. Okay, something you didn't know, right? You did know that, but think about what it means. It means you could have a 1/8 note pickup to something.
Yep.
You could have 15 notes, which is the pickup.
Yep.
There are 3 measures of notes, which are before a beat.
Yep.
You could have a bunch of notes which are going something, and then suddenly there's a beat. Something is on the beat.
Yep.
So this can be applied interpretively also.
Yes.
One thing I like to do in terms of rhythm is I like to use subdivision in practice for performance purposes, for melodic purposes. So I will play, let's go back to Walton Concerto. Because inside every note, there's a whole bunch of stuff happening.
Right.
It's like when we go look at the ocean, it might be a placid day and there's nothing going on, but there's, sea creatures there, there's currents, there's maybe pollution, I don't know. There's all this kind of stuff going on underneath the surface. There's stuff under the surface of every note. And if you can maximize that, then you can understand where you are in that continuum on that note.
Absolutely.
And that makes rhythm a musical element. It's not just technical.
Absolutely. How do we lean in, lean out? What's important? What are we aiming for? All of that. So in the practice room, what I'm hearing is taking the smallest note value or below that and applying that to the entire score. So, or not the entire score, but maybe. And
No, probably
so
just like 5 or 6 measures
Yeah.
at once. Yeah.
So if there's if a 16th note is your base for subdivision, then if you see a quarter note, you play 4/16 note. You fill it up with those 16th
Correct.
notes. Okay, so not playing everything on the same note value, which is a 16th note race, but filling out that
No, that'd be
rhythmical
silly. So if this is-
architecture with 16th notes.
Really, it's a technical thing when you're playing pieces that combine slow notes and fast notes.
Correct. Yeah,
So
okay.
so that's the lowest common denominator
Exactly,
situation,
yeah.
which is really great. But more than that, it's a musical thing when you use it to teach yourself about the bow, because sound modulation always goes with rhythm modulation. So the two things happen. You can't modulate rhythm without modulating your sound. If you do, people won't like it. You can't
They won't understand what's happening.
They won't understand what's happening, exactly. And so where the rhythm gets sticky, that's where you want your sound to get sticky.
Okay. Yeah. We talk a lot about the storyboard in Spark Practice. And so we'll have a big page, and there's the line of time goes right between attuned intonation and rhythm. So we have that harmonic rhythm as the axis from which everything else grows.
Nice.
So which supports exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. The other thing that's interesting about harmonic rhythm is learning a piece of music like a composer writes it or like a conductor does.
Yeah.
I was 17 years old. I was in the Civic Orchestra of Chicago, and Sergei Schulte and Carlo Maria Giulini came and worked with us. And I wanted to be like Carlo Maria Giulini. I wanted to have a cape someday. Didn't work. I didn't have.
We're working on it.
I'm not a cape person. So, but maybe I became a violist, which was maybe almost as good.
Yeah.
So, but they would say, let's start at the A major, or let's start at the second theme, or something like that.
Okay.
And this was a way different way I had of thinking about music. So if we know the rhythm and the breathing of the harmony, we know that this is something like something that goes this way. There's increased tension when there's more time in between harmonic events, right? So the harmonic rhythm tells a great story that is your story, which pulls you through music.
That's great. I love this idea of pulling us through the music. Like, we can have this leaning in and leaning out, but we're still telling a story.
You're always on a moving sidewalk somewhere, right?
I love that. Oh, yeah. Great. So
the other day I was in an airport and I walked the wrong way on a moving sidewalk. Nobody was around. It was like a 300-foot moving. I felt so proud of myself because I've wanted to do that for a long time. So this actually goes with practicing. Just being inventive, do crazy, goofy stuff because it takes off all the pressure. There's in Stamets Concerto, and this kind of goes back to intonation. There's octaves passage da ba ba ba, which has a minor third, and so I would play these things as if I'm playing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Da ya ya da 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 ba ya da 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 da. So I play the whole Somewhere Over the Rainbow in octaves. It has nothing to do with the piece, but it helps me practice that interval in the context of just being goofy and relaxed.
Right.
It resets. Then I can go back and do some serious work.
I love that because then you're creating another signature for aiming for what you want, giving yourself the tools that you need to be able to do it comfortably and joyously and all of those things, planning like those big leaps and enjoying what that means.
Yeah.
So that the other things that we do that might scare us or we see them just as vegetables and we don't understand them as a garden.
Right.
Sonnets can have that same joy and that same meaning.
Practice can have that same joy.
Yeah. Okay, so to take it, wrap it all up together, kinetic integration. This is when we're talking about physically what we're doing. How are we taking care of that sort of physical hygiene of good positions, breathing, what's happening in the body, and then also our self-talk. How are we tying all of those tiny little disparate informations together into something bigger? And ideally a global choreography.
Let's talk about choreography first. And one of the things I've discovered is people practice forward and fail. Practice forward and fail. Practice, I want to get to this note here. It's my goal. Fail, 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 fail.
Yeah.
I have a game which I call Connect the Dots. So what does that note feel like? What does that note, what's the essence of that note? Can I play that one note by itself?
Yep.
Can I play that note many times? Okay, I know where that note is. Now I'm not going to fail. I'm aiming for a particular spot.
Right.
So if you have 3 or 4 notes in a phrase, you have secure spots on the way to doing that.
Yes, exactly.
So that's a technique that helps you get through pieces. So I think that a lot of self-talk has to be in the future tense and not the past tense.
Okay.
I messed that up, I messed that up.
Okay.
But I want to do this, I intend to do that. Mm-hmm. You can never fix the past, you can only change the future. So if you're playing, you have to be thinking, what is the next goal? And in practicing, you can actually help yourself with this by only paying attention to one element at a time. And other elements may fail along the way, but you say, did I succeed at the element? Mm-hmm. If you can succeed at all the successive elements, then you can play. So if you're performing, you're going for the phrase, you miss a shift, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's not going to encumber you. You've already trained yourself to be Teflon when it comes to all the mistakes.
Right. So how do we do that in the practice room? We're going to be looking at a score or something that we're playing, and not only are we focusing on one element, but we're also focusing on how we feel, that signature of what is right, how does that feel, and our emotional condition around that. of and I feel good or and I feel whatever while I do that?
So one of the things I've been talking with my students about recently is, do you inspire yourself? Do you enjoy your playing? Because, if you're not enjoying it, maybe nobody else will either. So that's something.
Well, we're definitely like shooting ourselves in the foot if we do that.
Right, you don't wait to do that out on stage. You get in
Also,
the habit of doing that, right? So
yes.
you get the habit of practice performing in your practice room or concert hall if you have a concert hall, an hour a day, which y'all should have a concert hall an hour a day. But the other thing is to keep yourself in the loop between your heart and ears and mind and body.
Yep.
is a loop, and you can go to the part that needs attention or is giving you positive feedback. So I often talk with my students, how did that sound? They say it felt this way. How did it feel? It sounded this way. Great, this is exactly right, because it's this dialogue between these things that keeps you moving forward.
Yeah.
If you get stuck in one, you're stuck, and then you can't lead the music. You have to lead the music, you have to lead yourself, you have to lead the audience. You have to tell the audience that you're going to show them something they've never seen before. And you have to expect for yourself that you're going to show yourself, maybe in performance, something you've never seen before also. That you're going to see it in a new way, and that's what all preparation is about, to free us to live in that beautiful zone of joyous creation.
That's great. How do we do that in the practice room?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yes, you do. You've said it a million times, but I'll just pull it out.
Okay, so performance is not something that just happens on stage. It happens with an attitude and intentionality in the practice room, I think. So there's a certain part of your practicing that should be performance related. So let's go at a technical aspect of that. One of these things is instant recall of where you are. So if you have something that you aren't usually successful in performance at, and you want to be successful, just put a timer on, and every 6 or 7 minutes, play that thing. Play it once. Have it be a short excerpt, 15, 20, 30 seconds. A short excerpt, don't be judgmental. Mm-hmm. Just play it once, just practice it.
It's just information.
It's just a try.
Yeah.
And then you get to try again.
Yeah.
Because most of us were not super successful at something we tried it the first time. I remember teaching my sons to ride a bike, and they were pretty good at it, but it was not the first time that they rode down the street by themselves, or a baby walking or something like that. So just training yourself for success in the practice room means I can get to that spot. I think that the idea of...
So just before we finish, or before you comma transition, training yourself to be successful in the practice room means failing a lot.
Totally.
And I think that's really important to highlight, because that lab environment, that trying, that let me go look for where the edges are, what do I want, what do I like. Being successful in the practice room takes that courage to mess up.
Yeah. I want to talk about musical expression and how we practice that.
Yes.
So we've all practiced shifts, and we're playing fast or doing something from memory. We're willing to do a shift 15 times to get it right once. Then we want to do it 5 times right again.
Yep.
Okay? I've noticed with myself and my students, we try and make a beautiful phrase. 17, 18, 40 times we play it. It's not beautiful. Then we play it once and you say, that's it, I'm a genius, I can quit now, I know how to play this phrase. No, don't do that. Practice again while you're in that neighborhood, get comfortable in that neighborhood.
Right.
Because that's not going to dull your senses. It's not going to make you a robot. It's going to get you to that neighborhood almost every time you come to that passage.
Right.
So
it's
practice,
not a magical accident.
It's not a magical accident. It is the first time. But if you repeat it and you know how you got there, then you repeat the thought process. There's a great Joyce DiDonato thing where she tells a singer, that was perfect. Don't ever try to do that again. But do the things that got you there.
Yep. Yeah.
So do the things that get you there.
Yeah, those tools. That's amazing.
And then sometimes my students are trying to hit the head of a pin in performance.
Right.
And they get so tied up, they can't do that.
Yep.
Okay, play it louder than you want to. Play it softer than you want to. Play it a little bit faster. Play it a little bit slower.
Right.
There, you're ready. You're primed to find it.
Because we've bonus trained
Yeah.
around what we want, we know how to mix live. It's like we're DJs in the moment.
Yeah, I love that. DJs in the moment. So that when it comes, when the moment comes, you're able to respond to whatever the stimulus. Maybe you want it faster. Maybe you want it slower. Maybe your pianist does something weird for you. Maybe it's different acoustic. Maybe your bow's not tight. You're ready to deal with all those things.
That sounds amazing. Thank you so much for
This is super fun.
spending this time together. I really appreciate it. We have a ton of things to try in our little practice lab and in our little worlds. And it's such a pleasure to be able to bring that together. Thank you so much for your time, Peter.
Thank you for sparking the conversation. Trademark.
Yes, there is a trademark. But anyway, thank you so much for everybody with us. We'll see you in the practice room.
Great.
And that's it.
Thanks. That was fun.
Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Best Practices from Spark Practice. I'm your host, Sarah Niblack, and until the next episode, I'll see you in the practice room.